Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. If you could do the usual routine that we should all be used to by now, which is just let me know in the chat if you can see and hear and everything looks and sounds okay, that would be super appreciated. And then we'll go through the usual, which is say hello to everybody that's in tonight, see who's new in, and say a big thank you for joining us. So hopefully everything looks and sounds okay. Please do let me know in the chat section. I know there's a bit of a delay in there. But as always, if you enjoy this live stream when we're going through it and you think it's worth a thumbs up, please do give it a thumbs up because it tells YouTube that you actually like the content that we're putting out. And for me, I love this kind of thing because it's a nice two-way conversation. We can have a great chat and just open the floor up to some great content. So thank you very much, guys, for letting me know that it looks and sounds okay. Great to know. We're going to give it a minute or two, let a few more people come in, and then we're going to say our hellos. So like I said, don't forget, smash that thumbs up button. You know the routine. Hit it if you like it. Cool. Okay, so first of all, let me just quickly say that unfortunately my guest tonight, David Vongries, is a little bit under the weather, so he's asked me to pass on his sincere sort of sadness for not being able to join in tonight, but he will be on in a couple of weeks' time when we can rearrange things and get our timetables and everything in place. So do bear in mind that that is something that is coming in the near future, but sadly tonight, you've just got to put up with me. So there's going to be probably a little bit of a change around of content. We'll talk about some of the same things, but unfortunately the content is going to be the same because a lot of it kind of focused on my conversation with David. So we'll have to keep that one for another day. But other than that, you've got to put up with me for the next hour or so. But thank you very much for joining in. So let me just quickly go through and say hello to some of the faces that are in tonight. And remember, if you are new here, this is your first time in the live stream, please do just put in a comment, #new, and then I can see who's new and I can say a good evening and welcome to those new people in tonight. For everybody else, if you've already been here for a while, well, do #old. I don't mind. It's all cool. Okay, so what do we have then? Who do we have in tonight? Let me just quickly scroll up to the lots and lots of comments. Robert Watner, good evening to you tonight. Thank you very much for joining in. Richard Wade, always a pleasure to see you, young man. Steve Pro, you're a regular now. Imran, great to see you as well. Charlie Bird, congratulations on that little winning prize. Strahinia, good to see you in as well. Michael Wright, always a pleasure. Tim Rushton, good evening to you as well. George, good evening and welcome to Germany. I hope I said your name correctly there because my translations are terrible. Peter Tack, good to see you in tonight as well. Stratos, always a pleasure to see you in this evening. Goran, good to see you. Bruno, Phaedra, good to see you in as well. Who else do we have in? Andy Von Boos, hope you're doing well. Hope you can see and hear and everything is all good now. Tim, good to see you. Let's have a little look. Yep, cool. I think I've said hello to most people. Joy Elvin, good to see you in tonight. Chris Oliveira, good to see you as well. Ripal, always a pleasure. Chris, good to see you in. Kenneth, good to see you as well. Ronald, good to see you. Volker, always a pleasure. Hope you're safe up in the north. Okay, I have no chance of saying this name, so I'm going to just pop it on screen and say good evening to you as well. Thank you for joining in. Okay, let's have a little squizzy, see if we've got any new. David Hetherington, always a pleasure to see you in tonight. John Hussey, again, always a pleasure. And another one, good to see you. Now, I'm just going to pop this on screen as well because, again, I have no chance of saying this without doing a really terrible job. So, good evening. Glad to see you in tonight, and thank you very much for joining in. Second time for these live shows, Kenneth. Thank you for coming back. Okay, Infinite Designs, always good to see you in from USA and Chicago. And John Davis, thanks for my prize the other week. Absolutely my pleasure. Now, for anybody that was here for the 100,000 subscriber giveaway a couple of weeks back, if you haven't had your prize off me yet, it is still in the pipeline. You will be receiving it. Unfortunately, it's been an absolutely mental couple of weeks, so I'm working my way through the incredibly long list of emails and contacts and stuff like that, but you will be getting exactly what we've talked about, so don't worry. It's all noted down, except for a couple of names which I'm not 100% sure of, so I might have to ask a couple more names a little later, so please do bear with me. Ishmael, good to see you in this evening. Naeem, good to see you in from Bangladesh. Hope you're all doing well. So Robert Watner, I'm assuming you're the developer behind the sticky header effects that you're talking about. If you are, let me know. Just message me, tag me in, #WPTuts, and we'll see if we can sort of hook up a little later, maybe another day, maybe a little later on down the line, and you can sort of tell me a little bit more about what it is, and I'll have a chat about it, if that sounds cool to you. Okay. See, okay, right, okay. So like I say, unfortunately, we don't have Chris. We don't have David joining us tonight. So we're going to have just a little bit of a chat about a couple of things. I'm going to have to wing it a little bit tonight because, like I say, I didn't have anything planned. But the first thing I will talk about is I just released a video on Bricks Builder and the version 1.3 that's come out in the last couple of days. Now, if you use bricks or you're interested in bricks or it's something you think you want to look at in a little bit more detail, just do a little hashtag bricks just to let me know, because I'd be curious to find out how many people here are looking at alternatives to some of the page builders that you might be using right now for whatever reason. So the latest update, version 1.3, is the first, I believe, in 3 parts for WooCommerce integration. And this is going to give you sort of full customization of WooCommerce. The first part, which has been released, 1.3, has the archive and the single product template ability created. There's a video that I released literally an hour and a half ago. So if you're interested, go and check that out because I think you might enjoy exactly what you can do with that. But I just kind of want to say that I've been keeping an eye on bricks since it came out probably, a couple of months ago. And this is, there's a lot of page builders out there that, some names that you've heard of, some names that, if I'm honest, I've never heard of. Some have better reputations than others. And I've talked about bricks in the past, but I want to say that I'm kind of excited about where this is going. I've got a really good feeling that this is going to be, I can't say the next massive page builder, because at this point in time, I don't know how it could compete with the likes of Elementor and Divi and things like that. I mean, they've got such a sort of path in front of them compared to what bricks has. But I got the same kind of feeling about bricks that I did when Elementor came along probably about 4 or 5 years ago, when I first took a look at that and I created my first video on that. When I was comparing it at the time to Visual Composer, which was the kind of page build that I was used to at that time. But this is kind of giving me the same feeling. I think what bricks have done, what Thomas and the team behind it have done, is they've looked at what currently is out there that works really well. They've looked at what people are frustrated with and what people want by looking at the comments and the questions and the feedback, maybe even tapping into frustrations they've had where they may have used page builders. And what they've done is they've basically built the page builder, and they're building and developing the page builder that I think a lot of people want. If we take a look back to where it was in version 1, when I originally tested it out, and the way things were made up with columns, rows, different things like sections, things like that, that was kind of a little bit restrictive. So they took a look at it, and they basically just redeveloped that entire model into the container element. And the container element just gives you a lot more flexibility without having so much code bloat that you were probably used to by using some other page builders. This is the kind of thing that really makes me excited. They're listening to what the community is saying, they're taking it on board, and they're looking for the things that actually make sense. Because you've only got to look at any of the Facebook groups where you've got any kind of page builder. There are always people that want everything, including the kitchen sink. And if you take everything on board, you end up with a product that is just a mishmash of hundreds of different things. So it seems to me that what they're doing with bricks is they're listening to the community, taking on board the things that make sense, and looking at how they can implement those into the entire system. This is where the container side of things comes from. Looking at some of the other things, they built it from the ground up with dynamic content as a core component. It still needs fleshing out. We still need to have the ability to create fully customized loops, to apply conditional logic and some of those more intermediate advanced features. But bearing in mind this has only been out for several months, pretty less than half a year in, should we say, in the wild, it's incredibly encouraging to see what's already in there. Even if you can't currently create a fully customized loop, you can create a loop, and then you can drop in your own custom elements. So any ACF fields, any sort of meta fields that you have as part of WordPress itself, or any of the plugins you may have installed like WooCommerce and so on, all of that's integrated directly into it, which for me is a fantastic first step, and it works really, really well. But the fact that they just brought out now the first part of the WooCommerce integration shows that they really want to create a product that answers what the people actually want, if that makes any sense. So I'm kind of excited. I really enjoyed taking this first look. I know that the plan is that the next major release, as in not 1.3 to 1.4, but maybe like 1.35 or something like that, that's going to have the next of the phases of WooCommerce integration. So that's going to add on to it the ability to do the cart page, the checkout page, and yeah, so that'll give you the next stage. And then the third and final, that I believe is the third and final, is going to give you the ability then to do things like the account section. So I think once the next stage comes out, where you can do the entire front end side of things, let's take the account side of things out of it, because I don't think that's as important. That's kind of really exciting to see that before long we'll have an almost fully functioning WooCommerce customization platform inside Bricks. So I'm really excited about it. I really think this is something that has taken the best elements of what's out there right now and combined it into a very cohesive setup that listens to the community and integrates what makes sense. But what are your thoughts? Have you tested Bricks? Have you bought Bricks? Are you interested by it? Or is this the kind of first that you're hearing about it and what it can do and some of the things that, some of the features that are available? If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend going over to the WP Touch channel. Just in a search for Bricks, there's a playlist there with about 4 or 5 videos in it. My first opinion of it, there's how to use dynamic content in there. There's also one that I released about a week or so ago comparing Elementor's post widget with the Bricks post widget. And today I released the one on my first look at the WooCommerce side of things. So once the next version comes out where we can customize the cart page and the checkout page, I'll be doing a full tutorial on building the entire website using Bricks, because I think this is something that'll hopefully open people's eyes to what you can do with it and how you can create it. And we'll run some speed tests and things like that on there, because it is fast and it ranks really, really well. But that's just my thoughts on it right now. I'm going to throw it open to you. I'm going to see who has already sort of tapped into Bricks, who's interested in Bricks, and let's take a look at what you all think of it. Because like I say, for me, I'm kind of excited about this. So let's have a look. What do we have? Let's spell it correctly. It would be good, wouldn't it? If only I could spell. Okay, Richard, Andy Von Boos. I don't say that. Boos. Let's have a little look. Stratos, Bricks. Let's have a little look. Let's pop you up on there. Bricks, I've already created 2 websites with Bricks. I don't like the container system so much. It needs full width for the first one, another container inside, and 2 containers inside, and a second for columns. I know what you mean. There is a bit of stacking kind of going on inside there, but I think this will be something that will streamline as you go forward, and it'd be interesting to find out how much of an impact that actually makes speed-wise. So, Stratos, if you've tested the speed side of things, let me know, because this is one of those things that I want to sort of tap into what you've all done, the different kinds of things, how you tested it out, what you found with it, if it's going in the right direction for you, those kinds of things. Do let me know. Let's have a look. Goran, Bricks doing side-by-side project with Elementor and Bricks. So far, Bricks, I only behind search and filters for me. Yeah, I mean, we do have to bear in mind that, Bricks, like I said, is only about 6 months old in comparison to, we'll say Elementor, because it's always the one that people are going to compare it to the most, especially on this channel. So Elementor has, 4.5 years of commercial, probably even longer than that, development in front of it, a much bigger team. But then what comes with that is that it's much more difficult to create things quickly. You've really got to look at how long it takes to do some of the things inside a tool like Elementor to realize that it is quite a slow process to get these things integrated in. And as it gets a bigger platform, it makes it more difficult because there's a bigger code base, all those kinds of things. So we do have to give Bricks a little bit of leeway when it comes to this, that at the moment it is still very much a fledgling product, still in version 1. It's not going to compete. It doesn't have the same sort of third-party developer support, although there are third-party tools coming to Bricks right now, which is great to see. And I believe most, if not all of them, are currently free. So you've got some expansion options there in the same way you have this ecosystem with the likes of Elementor and, those kinds of tools. So I'm excited to see that. Bruno, totally agree on Bricks. Exactly. You know, I think that's the thing, is like, I think we just have to bear in mind that we are early in development, but it's exciting where it is right now. And that for me is the key to this. It's where it is now and how it's going to move forward. I think this is the key thing. I think by the time we get to version 2, should have a pretty solid product there that should do what most users will probably want. Yes, you're going to have power users. Yes, you're going to have, you know, people that want all the animation effects and all the sort of different CSS effects and those kinds of things that it might not be perfect for. But, you know, the way that Google has changed things over now to focusing much more on the speed aspect and things like that, I think these are all key aspects that Bricks is really sort of focusing on. So we'll have to keep an eye on it, but like I say, I've got all intentions to create some tutorials on using that to see how it stacks up against its competition. Bricks is going the right direction. The speed is awesome. And if you check the ideas that are requested, you immediately see Oxygen users inside, and that for me means a lot. Yeah, I think this is the thing. I think there's definitely an overlap in the way that the builder treats layout options to Oxygen, much more so, I think, than the likes of Divi and Elementor and that kind of thing, which for speed and side of things is good because it looks like it's been developed from the ground up with those things as a core focal point. So it's good to see that they've kind of come in with that thing in mind. Go on. By the way, search and filters are on the idea board. And this is something that I would suggest. If you are interested in Bricks and you're using Bricks or you're thinking of buying into it and you want to have some kind of input into what features are built in quicker, you know, in the sort of the life cycle, get involved in that side of things, because there's an open board where you can vote and you can put in what you're interested in, what kind of tools you'd like, those kinds of things. So it's definitely worth getting involved. And I would say the same thing with the Facebook group. Get involved with the Facebook group. Even if you don't have Bricks, it's good to keep an eye on what's happening there, because it might be the place that gives you the indication to see, okay, these are now features that I really, really, really need, and they're in there, and now's the time I can jump on board with it. So I've got no say in this. I've got no affiliate links to it. There's no affiliate program running. I don't get any kickback if you buy it now or in the future. So, you know, I'm just saying it from someone that's passionate about these kinds of tools, that's excited about these kinds of tools. The nerd. Okay. Well, that's good to hear. I don't know what's going on because I missed the beginning of the conversation, but Volker, I'm glad you're feeling better about joining in. You know, you're always more than welcome to get involved in this and everything else. We love seeing your face around here. As, you know, everybody that's involved. The whole point of this is it's a nice open platform where we can have a chat. It's respectful. It's fun, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And nerds unite. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. What's it? Good evening, Dirk. Good to see you in tonight. Happy to see you. Glad to see you could make it. Okay, let's just jump on through now because the comments are flying in quick and fast. Okay. Yeah, so Robert, I've missed the kind of things where you've sort of said this, but please do get in touch with me. If you haven't seen it, just hop over to wptuts.co.uk go to the bottom and there's the collaboration request thing on there. Just go in there, fill that out, let me know, and that'll come through to me and I'll take a look. We can start a conversation from there. Pez, always good to see you in. Been a while. I hope you're doing well. Exactly. This is what I'm kind of saying. The Google ranking rules, Bricks are moving in the right direction where speed and load time is important. Future websites will probably be more focused on UX and minimalistic designs, which I don't think is any bad thing. You know, it's nice to see all these sort of all singing, dancing animations and stuff like that, and it's quite cool. But I would say I'd still rather see just a site that gives me what I need without having to sit through those kinds of things, because it doesn't matter how good a computer you've got, there are always going to be issues with it slowing things down and clunky and stuff like that. So that's all I'm going to say. Okay, so who else do we have that's new in this evening? So, Imran, thank you very much for joining in. You are a face that I've seen on the comment section in YouTube, so glad to see you've made it to a live. And George, again, I hope I said that correctly, but thank you very much for joining in. And like I say, I have no intention of trying to say this because I will never get that name correct. But thank you very much for joining in tonight. And I hope to see your face around here a little bit more often when we do these live streams. Okay. Now, so all my comments are scrolled right the way to the bottom now. Let's have a little look. Okay. In the end, we do it for Google. Thanks for the advice. Okay, I don't know. There's conversations going on in the comment section, which is always great. It's great to see those kinds of things. Okay, so that's kind of my thought side of things with that. I just want to sort of touch on it because I've just released the video. So just curious to see what you'd think. Second thing I want to talk about is the imminent release of WordPress and the full site editing feature. Now, I'm kind of planning a video on how this all works to put together something and give you my first thoughts, how it kind of works, those kinds of things. But has anybody tried full site editing with the beta version of WordPress 5.8, is it? Something like that? 5.8, 5.9, something like that. If you have, what are your thoughts on it? I've looked into it. I tested it a while ago. I found it really clunky, as most things when it comes to Gutenberg actually are. But I just wish they would just leave it all alone. Really do just wish they would leave it all alone. People sort of say, are you going to, or is this going to be the end of themes? No, it's not going to be the end of themes, because even though you've got full site editing with, with WordPress, when that comes out, it becomes a staple part of the whole process. Not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody cares. Lots of people, I would say probably the bigger percentage of people out there literally want to get a platform like WordPress, get a theme that looks nice, combine the two, start adding content. Don't really want to go to the hassle of getting a theme that allows you to do full site editing and setting up headers, setting up footers, setting up templates, all those kinds of things. So I really wish that when it comes to this side of things, with Gutenberg to a large extent, but the full site editing and stuff like that, they should have just kept this for WordPress.com and left the normal self-hosted WordPress as it is and focus their attention on making the dashboard more user-friendly, making the interface more user-friendly, making media management easier to deal with without needing third-party tools, those kinds of things. I understand the logic of where they're saying, they want to create something that competes with Wix and Squarespace and stuff like that. But this is why I say it would make more sense to have that on a self-hosted platform, because it's a different marketplace. It's a different customer, I would say, that want these kind of things. So for me, they should have just kept those as two separate products. WordPress.com can have full site editing and Gutenberg and those kinds of things, the full Gutenberg experience, and then leave WordPress self-hosted, kind of the way it is right now, or the way it has been, before we sort of have this kind of thing forced on us. To kind of answer, is Gutenberg or page builders the future? For this point in time, for the foreseeable future, both. Simple as that. I honestly don't see enough people, excuse me, I don't see being enough people that are going to jump on board Gutenberg when page builders are just so much quicker and easier to work with and so much more intuitive. One of the biggest bugbears for me, and always has been, this kind of goes back to the Visual Composer days, is when you work with Gutenberg, you don't know exactly what it's going to look like, because you still have a disjointed connection between what you see in the dashboard when inside Gutenberg, and it's getting better with some themes, admittedly, but it's not the same as what you see on the front end of the site, and that makes designing things more problematic and too much toing and froing to do simple things. You set something full width, for example, well, you've got to hop over then to the front end to make sure that the template isn't putting margins on the outside edge and things like that. It's just a bad way of working. You create, I think the Gutenberg idea itself is okay, as long as it was kept to allowing you to just build content for a blog. Nothing more than that. You want to create a page, use a page builder, do something like that. It's not good enough for design-orientated users. It's okay for content creators. And I think that's one of the biggest problems. Now, the only reason that people are probably using Gutenberg more so now is because there are so many good third-party plugins like Stackable, like Cadence Blocks, those kinds of things, like, Generate Blocks, those kinds of things, the free versions even, that give you control over basic things like containers, like columns, like colors, global colors and things like that. Why are we waiting this long? Was it 2.5, 3 years into the Gutenberg lifecycle and we still don't have what are basic tools inside a layout that allows us to do basic design visually. It's just, it would be like, inventing the mountain bike, the e-bike, and then just basically going, well, we're not going to do that. We're just going to slap a battery on an old penny farthing. It does the same thing, but it looks rubbish. The user experience is rubbish. Why? It just feels like a step backwards. Just crazy stuff. I don't know. Yeah, so we'll say no more about that. Okay, Gutenberg will become Gutenberg in the end. Yeah, I think it'll always be Gutenberg around here. They could have kept it as a plugin, Max. They should have kept it as a plugin. They should have just left it as being an optional plugin that let people use it if they didn't want to use the classic editor, or just make it simple and not try to make it the focal point of how you design things inside WordPress. It's crap. Just, you can't say anything better than that. It is crap. It's only made any good by third-party tools that make it usable and go beyond. But the problem you're going to get then is you're going to rely upon 10 different tools to get basic page builder functionality without basic page builder ease of use. So either way, it's still going to be a halfway house of mix and match components. And then you're still reliant upon other tools being updated regularly. Then you fall into the problem of, updates causing issues because you've got multiple different products just to make it usable. It's just, they should have just bought a page builder company and then just paid them to build a page builder with the experience that they've got over the years of creating page builders for people that actually want to use page builders. That's what I say anyway. I keep listening from back in June 2018. God, is it that long ago? The Gutenberg will march in a field of page builders and conquer them all. Nothing happened, just an empty story. Just the same as most things when it comes to this. And I think full site editing is going to be a very similar story. It just doesn't work well enough to make it a seamless experience. It's still going to be a pain. I mean, the videos that I've watched of it, it just feels clunky. I'll try it. Like I say, I'll put a video together and we'll take a look at it, and then you can give me your honest feedback when you've seen the video, because I'll give you my honest feedback. You know that I will. Have you talked to Sergio about his Bloxy Blocks project? What's your opinion on that, and what do you think about Bloxy theme? Would you recommend the premium version? Okay, let's break that into two parts. I haven't talked to Sergio about the Blocks plugin or the Blocks project. I just know that that's something that's in the pipeline. So I am looking forward to that coming out, because I think when you can have a theme and the Blocks plugin being from the same developers, you have a nice cohesive environment to work in. So I'm excited to see what they bring to the table there. What do I think of the Bloxy theme? I absolutely think it's an amazing theme. What you get in the free version is astounding. The header and footer builders, the look of it is really good. The starter themes are great. And would I go for the pro version? If you don't have what you need in the free version, because there is boatloads of features in the free version, then yes, because I think it's one of those things, when you've got developers that are creating great products, they're active in their community, they're supporting, they're listening, and they're creating things that people want, they should be supported. Financially, through reviews, whatever kind of thing it is, whatever you can kind of do to help promote their product. If you believe in it, then I think that's something we should do. I've got a different platform to most people, but I still think there's absolute huge amounts of power in giving it solid ratings if you think it's a product. If you think it's something that could be improved, there's areas that are weak, problematic, whatever, get involved with the community and let the developers know so they can improve it. If we don't let them know, they can't improve upon it. So yeah, to sort of say, I do think that Bloxy is a really solid theme. I like what they're doing with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring with the blocks that they're going to be releasing. The only thing that I would love to see in the Bloxy theme, and I've sort of mentioned this to Sergio, so hopefully it's something that might be in a future release, is when it comes to creating, the sort of the archive pages for, WooCommerce or for any of those kinds of things, using the normal WordPress loop. I'd love to see the ability to have dynamic content or additional content that could be loaded into those designs in exactly the same way that Bricks does it. So if you haven't seen my video on dynamic content with Bricks, or the video that I released today about the WooCommerce side of things, there's a little section inside there, then take a look at that and it'll show you what I mean. But you can literally just stack as much as you want of any kind of meta information into the loop template. You just can't control the loop template over and above what features you currently have. So I would love to see that in the theme, because I think that would open up a ton of options for people that don't want to build a theme or don't want to deal with page builders and creating loop templates and all those kinds of things. But they want that ability to have custom content included in there. And because Bloxy works so well with custom content, it'll automatically create the archive and the single post template for any custom post types that you create, which is a really solid feature. I would just love to have that ability to be able to add those extra dynamic fields into that layout to give us even more control over what we can display. But that's my kind of thoughts on it. So if Sergio sees this on a replay or, you know, whatever, I'd love to have a conversation about that. Always open to having a chat about it. And to, you know, if you want any help, ideas, suggestions, whatever, then I'm more than happy to do it. But yeah, so hopefully that's answered the question. Okay. What else we have? MDAS Hardware, good evening. I'm very good. I hope you're doing well as well, and great to see you in tonight. Stratos, Emily, look what you've got to say, sir. In Bloxy, I like very much the hide sidebar based on the device features. Astra and Cadence are missing that. This is what I'm kind of saying. There's little things that are inside the Bloxy theme that I think just make it a really solid product. You know, the free version, the paid for version, whatever you kind of want to go for. There's just a lot of really good features inside there. But also, if you look at the starter sites, go just do a search for Bloxy starter sites. Have a look, and you'll see some of the starter sites, and you can test them out. You can see how they rank and all those kinds of things. But they're designed very, very well. You can see that not only are they creating a solid product with a great customizer that is, in certain respects, above and beyond a lot of the other sort of customizers that are out there for, you know, WordPress themes. I just like the fact that they create good-looking starter sites that you can. I mean, I've looked at the sites and I've gone, other than changing the colors and you know, obviously put my content there, I would actually use those starter sites. They are that good, which is encouraging to see. Just goes to show what can be done with the theme itself and with a design eye. You know what I mean? Okay. Have I tried the new Riode theme? Think they have thought a lot of features for WooCommerce that you need and now don't need to get extra plugins for. I haven't actually seen that, no. But I'll have to take a little look at it. So I'll have to make a note of that and have a look when I come off the live stream. I'm always interested in seeing what themes are doing good things. And again, this kind of goes back, circles right the way back around to earlier on where I said, you know, people asking when you have the full site editing and stuff like that with, you know, with Gutenberg and WordPress and those kinds of things. Isn't that going to be the end of themes? And I don't think so, because I think while we have themes that are creating fast-loading themes with features that people need and want, and they can quickly get a site up online, I don't think that that's going to be the end of themes anytime soon, because that in itself is something that probably millions of people want. You know, when you consider the fact that WordPress powers, what, a third of the internet? Quarter, a third of the internet? That's a pretty solid, large user base that you could say a big portion of those don't care about designing sites from scratch, you know, all the template files and those kinds of things. They just want something that looks good, fast loading, and they can quickly get a site online ASAP. So, okay, I'll have to check that site out though, Kenneth. What else do we have? George, is Bloxy working together with Jet Engine from Croco Block? It should all work together perfectly fine, I believe. Whether it would automatically create the archive and template pages I just mentioned, I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I'd assume so, because at the end of the day, Jet Engine is still, you know, just a normal Jet Engine. Still using the database, still creating custom post types in the database. But I haven't tested it out. But it's something that I would actually have to take a look at in a little bit more detail and see if it's working. So you can expect something like that probably on the cards. Actually, be interesting to find out. Atig, ACF with Gutenberg. I'm I'm assuming you're asking, is it something that is possible? And yes, it is. But there's two kind of main ways of going about it. You can either take block plugins like Stackable, for example, which has minimal integration with ACF right now, but this is something that will grow as it's expanded and more features are brought on board. Or you can create your own custom blocks. It's not something I've looked at in detail yet myself. Maybe I'll take a look at it in the future. I don't know yet. But I think as Gutenberg grows and more companies embrace it as a technology, and we start to see more block builder type plugins coming out, I think dynamic content is the natural next addition to that. I'm pretty sure that Gutenberg blocks, not Gutenberg blocks, Generate blocks either has, the pro version either has or is bringing dynamic content as part of it. Again, I haven't tested this. I've got a pro account on both the theme and the blocks plugin, so I'll have to take a look at that and go back and revisit it. But I think this is something that, yes, you will be adding it in, and these features will become more inclusive as more third-party developers come on board and start to create more products, as Gutenberg, starts to get a larger user base and a larger support network in third-party companies. So, okay, before I go any further, I've got to do my usual thank you for tonight's sponsor, which in this example is going to be dynamic content for Elementor. Now, if you are regular on the channel, you know that I've used DC3 or dynamic content for Elementor in tons and tons and tons of videos. There's a full playlist with about 16 different dedicated tutorials on the channel. So if you've never used it or you are using it and you want to get a little bit more out of it, check out the YouTube channel. If you want to grab yourself a 10% discount while we're on the live stream, you can use Lockdown Live, purchase it from dynamic.000. So thank you very much to Giovanni and the team for supporting the live streams. Let's get back to talking. Okay, can we use Divi with Croco Block? No, you can't. At this point in time, Croco Block is only working with Gutenberg and Elementor. There is some integration with Oxygen, but it's not officially supported. But let's just talk a little bit about Croco Block, and let's talk a little bit about some of the features. So I just released a video over on the Croco Block YouTube channel. I do some sponsored content for them, creating tutorials on their dynamic tools. And the one I released today, which went up this afternoon, is all about creating a form, a registration form with linking through to PayPal, linking it up to creating basic membership options. There's still some things that are missing in there for sure, but what this is kind of demonstrating to me is that they're moving away from sole integration with Elementor and moving more to Gutenberg integration. And what that means is that if you've got things like Divi, if you can use Gutenberg in there, with Bricks, for example, where you can use Gutenberg, with Oxygen, you can use Gutenberg. So while we can use the Gutenberg inside any of these page builders or any of the tools like that, as Jet Engine and as the Jet products, let's just call it the Croco Block Jet products, certain key ones of those are moving away from reliance. So you've only got to take a look at the query builder in Jet Engine. That's no longer dedicated to just inside the Elementor portion of working with Jet Engine. It's now a standalone feature. You've got Jet Form Builder, which takes the form element out of Jet Engine and makes it a standalone plugin, which incidentally is totally free and has bucket loads of options. If you take a look, like I said, the video I released today on the Croco Block channel, that's just using the free version of Jet Form Builder. It's amazing what you can do in there, the amount of dynamic content and all those kinds of things. So if you have Jet Engine or you're thinking of buying Jet Engine and you want to use Gutenberg for a lot of things, there's a ton of integrations with it, and it's being slowly taken out of reliance on Elementor, which is the best thing they can do. Really, really looking forward to it being system neutral. We could use it on pretty much anything. That's exciting to see. So keep an eye on that, because like I say, I think more things are being taken out. Listings we can do inside Gutenberg. Search filters with JetSmart filters. I believe the search form could be used, JetSmart search. You've got the query builder. You can use Jet Engine. There is so much now that's part of that Croco Block suite that can be used just directly inside Gutenberg itself without any Elementor reliance is really encouraging to see. So I think Jet Engine I think Croco Block is going to be one of the biggest proponents of pushing the dynamic side of things forward at this point in time and still keeping ease of use inside Gutenberg. So transitioning from using it inside Elementor to transitioning to using it inside Gutenberg itself should be pretty straightforward. In my testing, it's using pretty much all exactly the same settings. But I am, again, it's another one of those things that I'm waiting for a few more things to come out, and I will be creating some dedicated tutorials on using those tools inside Gutenberg to start building listing type websites, to create more comprehensive websites. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do subscribe. And if you're not a member of the Facebook group, head over to this link after the live stream, or now if you want to open another window up and to become part of the WP crew and get involved. You can talk to me on there, we can have conversations, you can get involved in the community, you can ask questions, and you can offer help and support. It's a great place to be, and tons of the people that are in tonight are already members of there and getting a lot of value and providing a lot of value. So please do get involved in that side of things. Love to see you around there. Okay, so hopefully that's answered at least some of the questions that kind of come up about, you know, how we can deal with, you know, Gutenberg and ACF and those kinds of tools. Okay. Robert, thank you very much for sending that over. I'll check that a little later, and I'll come back to you either later on tonight or more than likely tomorrow, and we can, like I say, start a conversation there. So thanks for doing that. Okay. So for now, you can only use Elementor with full Croco Block Suite and Gutenberg with some of their plugins. Exactly. But the most important plugins for dynamic content are being transitioned over. Yes, you've still got things, you know, like the different widgets and things like that. That's always going to be an Elementor-based feature because it's for Elementor. Whereas Jet Engine and the dynamic content side of things, I think, is more of a, a functional tool set that can be taken out of Elementor and make it more standalone, which makes more sense. So I'm really excited to see where that kind of goes. Who else do we have? Henry, okay, I'll answer your question for you. I'm new to WordPress. How do you do a multi-page form? Can you do it free without buying plugins? Yes, you can do it by using exactly the plugin I just said about, which is the Jet Form Builder. Just do a search for Jet Form Builder. That'll come up totally free, and the functionality in there is insane. So multi-step is part of that. Check that out. That's going to get you up to speed very, very quickly, and also gives you just so much more. You want front-end forms, it's inbuilt in there. You want multi-step forms, it's inbuilt in there. You want registration forms, it's built in there. You get the picture. I know I'm not endorsed to say this. It's a free plugin, so it makes no difference to me whatsoever. But yeah, check that out. That's a really, really good product with an overwhelming amount of options, but you can keep it as simple as you want, or you can really go quite comprehensive with it and complex. So pretty cool, and like I say, great to see that it's totally free. Okay, Joy, I'm going to answer your question. I was just kind of jumping out what we just talked about. Out of topic, and I asked this before, lockdown live, what's the future plan when all is now open? Hope we don't need to wish for a new lockdown for this to keep going. No, absolutely not. Lockdown live was just the name that I gave it while we were in lockdown, just for the live stream. It will probably just be renamed to something else, or I don't know. Are we going to be out of lockdown for that long? You know, we're going to have the third wave, no doubt. So let's not worry too much about that side of things. But yes, the live streams will be carrying on. That's not going anywhere anytime soon. I do it in seasons, as it were, like you were with a TV show, mainly because it means that I can have a couple of weeks break in between each season. And sometimes I can kind of look then in between and say, right, okay, what worked in the first season, the second season, what do I want to improve upon? What can we change? What format would be good? And do those kinds of things. So I've got different ideas of things that I want to do. You know, maybe getting more guests on, maybe having 3 or 4 of us having a conversation. You know, people that are freelancers that have worked in that kind of industry, you know, have their own agencies, things like that. Get together, have a 4 or 5 way kind of chat live like this with everybody else throwing questions out. Things like that might be coming in the future. So, you know, touch wood, these are all things that are planned in the planning stages, as we say. But yeah, lockdown live or whatever it'll end up being called is not going anywhere. It will continue, mainly because I really just enjoy doing these live streams. And if I'm honest, we might actually end up doing more regularly or more impromptu ones, or maybe some will be on YouTube, the regular lockdown live or whatever it's called, and I might well do live streams as well over on Twitter, over on Facebook, So again, if you're not a member of the Facebook WP crew, there's the link. And if you don't follow me on Twitter and you want to be kept up to date with different things that are going on, just do a search for WP Tuts with a Z. So that's WPTUTZ. You'll find me on there, same profile picture you used to. So I'd love to see you over on Twitter. Join up, follow me on there, become part of the conversation. And again, I ask questions on there, throw ideas out there, and just ask for feedback and involvement in future tutorials. Because at the end of the day, I enjoy getting your guys' feedback on what I create, you know, what you'd like me to create. If I've got an idea for a particular topic, what would you like to see included in that topic? Well, you can find out and become involved on Twitter and Facebook using any of those links that I've just said. Okay. I agree, Paul, but the design features in the Croco Block plugins for Gutenberg is not optimal. No, it's not. It's not right now at all. But I think part of that is down to Gutenberg not being particularly great to work with. But I think these are things that will improve. And again, one of those things that I'm kind of looking to work on is integrating what we can do with a tool like Jet Engine with some of the better block building tools like Generate Blocks, like Cadence Blocks, hopefully like Bloxy Blocks, but also things like, you know, Stackable, those kinds of things, because they've got more design-orientated features, and then we can focus on the function with tools like, you know, Jet Engine, those kinds of things, and the form with regards to those kind of block plugins. I'm sure at some point we're going to have a merge between those two things, and we are going to end up with a really solid product that makes it more usable for us without, you know, a lot of bloat. So not perfect, but life, when it comes to these kinds of things, very often isn't. It's a case of finding what's the best compromise to give the best set of tools and options and those kinds of things. Okay. Thank you very much, Tartos, for giving some other options to that as well. Yeah, check out Fluent Forms, the free version, and Forminator. There's also another one which I got messaged about, which is if you're an Elementor user, it opens up more options for Elementor forms as well. But I need to check that out, so I haven't tested it. So I wouldn't want to say yay or nay. To do. Hope I said that right. Can you go into more detail about Bricks Gutenberg integration? It's very confusing. You can't edit the page with Gutenberg after editing it with Bricks. Not sure if I'm doing something wrong. No, you're not doing something wrong. I find it incredibly confusing as well. It's something that I think needs to mature a little bit, and something that I probably will go back and take a look at. But I'm exactly the same as you. The first time I tried it, when I installed it, didn't make a lot of sense to me at all. It really didn't. So when I understand it a bit better, then by all means I will create some content. But until I understand it a bit better myself, I wouldn't want to sort of say, you know, do this, do that, do the other. I need to have a solid understanding of how it works myself. Joy, I don't think washing your hands for 20 seconds and singing what's the nursery rhyme you had to sing 3 times or something, I don't think that's going to make that much of a difference, because I think definitely the government in this country, they seem to like having the population in lockdown. So say no more. Is Els Tech in? Oh, good evening, Els. How are you doing? Glad to see you in as well. Also use the free Jet Style Manager for Jet Form Builder to make it look good. Yeah, Jet Style Builder, again, which was a paid-for plugin, has been made free when they brought in the Jet Form Builder, so you could style it and also do other styling. So check the 2 of those out, again, totally free. Good evening, Els, anyway. Great to see you in tonight. So if everybody would like to say good evening, Els, as well, that'd be much appreciated, because it's always great when Els is involved. She's an absolute, what can I say, font of knowledge over on the Facebook group, and answers so many questions. Absolutely invaluable. And I'm sure everybody in here tonight can attest to that. Okay. When looking at the roadmap for WordPress, it seems that in version 5.8, it will get full site editing. I hope I don't remember it wrong. Do you think it's still worth investing in page builders, example, Bricks? Yes, I do. Because even though full site editing is coming into WordPress in the next major version, I believe, anyway, 5.8, whatever it is, just consider how long it's taken to get Gutenberg from where it was to where it is now, and it's still not to the point where it's usable for lots and lots of use cases. So I would say you've got at least another 2 to 3 years before Gutenberg becomes a viable option for lots of use cases. So that gives it a life cycle of what, 7 years? Or something like that anyway. My maths has never been the strongest. So you kind of have an idea of is that going to take that long to get full site editing to be a viable option? If it is, well, you've got a good long stretch ahead of you. So I would say nothing you invest in right now is going to be future-proof. You know, as we know, page builders will come and go. Look at Visual Composer, was massive. You know, 3, 4, 5 million installs. Now, nowhere near that kind of thing. This is the life cycle. This is the way things go. It ebbs and flows in favor of one, then in favor of another. But I think page builders will adapt. And you also have to consider the fact that even though WordPress is pushing for Gutenberg and it's going to push for full site editing and those kinds of things, you can still use a forked version of WordPress. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but there's one out there that's been going for quite a couple of years. And basically it's WordPress as it was prior to Gutenberg being included and forced in as the mainstay. But that's been developed independently, but it's still WordPress at core. You know, at the end of the day, all these different things, they are open source software, so you can take them, you can modify them, and that's where these forked versions kind of come from. So there will always be options if you want to work with a page builder and continue working with the page builder. You'll always have options. I don't see that disappearing, and I really don't see WordPress being, you know, with the full site editing and Gutenberg being the be-all and end-all, unless they turn around and said, right, okay, we're just cutting off all page builders. It is Gutenberg or nothing. Which point would be a silly move, because I think they would be a big dip. So I don't think there's anything wrong, but like I say, just bear in mind that nothing lasts forever. If you invest in it now on a commercial basis and it lasts you 3 or 4 years, and you make money on it, and you pay back your investment, you can't really ask for much more than that. You know, that's kind of the way of the technology world. It just moves incredibly fast. Good evening, Els. Okay, any thoughts on a particular membership plugin? There are quite a lot of different options out there. Wishlist Member is one that I picked up a while ago. I haven't tried it out yet myself. I picked it up on a lifetime deal. I don't really do much in the way of membership side of things, so I don't really have a strong knowledge on those kinds of things. You're probably better off, if you need to know, is, like I say, hop over onto the Facebook group if you're not already a member of it, or join up to the Twitter kind of thing and ask the question there. There's going to be people that have been using tools for a long, long time that'll give you much more informed answers based upon their experience, their use cases, their findings. That's going to give you so much more value than I can give you with my lack of knowledge in that side of things. Okay, so again, we've got some new people in, some faces are changing. So as always, please do hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy this and you want to help support and just show YouTube that you enjoy these live streams. It costs you nothing to do it, makes me smile, and also makes YouTube smile. So hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy being involved in tonight's live stream. Exactly. L's a beacon of knowledge. Okay, classic editor for life. I refuse to acknowledge Gutenberg. Do you think we could get, if you're on Twitter, do you think we could actually get Gutenberg trending? That would be so much fun to get Gutenberg trending on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, tag me into that and just hashtag Gutenberg. We don't want Gutenberg, or whatever you want to put on there. If you're curious to see if we could get that trending, that'd be so much fun. Okay. WordPress versus Wix. What's the future? Look, tools like Wix, like Squarespace, like those kinds of things, they have their place in the ecosystem online. They have different types of clientele. They have different users, people that just want that ease of use. I don't think it's one over the other. I think there's more than enough room and more than enough people out there to be able to have both of those living quite happily side by side and both making good returns, good income, good user bases, those kinds of things. That's what I would say anyway. Okay. What's my thoughts about the trend of page builders going to the cloud? I think going to the cloud is kind of like an intermediary between where page builders are now and them keeping an eye on the future of WordPress and Gutenberg and those kinds of things. If a page builder can do it well, I see nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that one of the things that I like about Brizy is I like Brizy Cloud because I think it's a really good venture. I like the ease of use. I like what it offers you. Is it perfect? No. None of these tools are. Like I said earlier on in the stream, there's always going to be quirks and foibles and things missing that we need. But as a platform, it's solid. You know, yes, there's been some downtime, but it's hosting platforms. It's cloud-based hosting. It's the internet. There's always going to be things like that going on. But if you like the ease of use of using a tool like Brizy Page Builder, but you want to be kind of separate to that, then I like what they've done. I like the fact that you can just use Brizy Cloud and host it on their cloud platform. I like the fact that you can use Brizy Cloud to build it, and then you can host it somewhere else, and you can have that synergistic link between, you can make your changes on your Brizy Cloud account and then push those out to what's basically like a static kind of site on your own servers. You can build it on the cloud server on Brizy Cloud, and then you can just output the HTML and it'll send it all over, and you have a HTML version you can host yourself. There are plenty of options. And the one thing that I like about Brizy and what kind of comes across in how they operate as a business, in a very similar fashion to what I like about Bricks, is there seems like a level of transparency that goes on between the community and the developers and the people that are involved in the product. So I think there's definitely a strong, solid future for tools like that. What do I think of, for example, Elementor going into it? I haven't tested it out to be able to say whether it's good or bad. But not to sort of level criticism at Elementor's cloud-based system and things like that. But I think there's a definite difference in how the company interacts with the user base or potential user base, and not always in the most favorable way. This is kind of where I say, I think this is where it stands out so well when you have, you know, platforms like the Facebook group for Brizy, the Facebook group for Bricks and stuff like that, is you kind of feel like the developers are part of it. And I mean the developers, not an intermediary group of people that support it. Yes, I know you're talking a massive difference between a couple of thousand or tens of thousands to over 100,000, you know, strong user base in those Facebook groups. So there's a total difference there. But I think there's a real value in having a feeling of community, a feeling of involvement in the direction that products are going, and to feel that when enough people voice an opinion that's a good opinion, that it gets listened to and taken on board and you know, absorbed in. Is it quick? No. I mean, I've spoken to Dimmy over at Brizy, and some of my comments about something on a video I did probably a year ago, didn't think anything more of it. And he said to me, we took on board the different points that you had in that video, and they're in our list of to-dos. It's not quick, but they are lists, and they will be included in future updates. So I didn't know anything about this until I had the conversation. So it's just nice to know that when points are brought up that actually have valuable merit, that they are often taken on board and integrated into the product. That makes you feel, like I say, like you have a say in the future of the product. And I think this is something that I've commented on in the past, that I think, excuse me, there's a real disjoint with the Elementor community and the people that are involved in that and the product that's actually being worked on and brought out. You know, people that are beta testers saying, you know, they've given feedback on things and the beta has gone into, you know, full release with the same problems that were there in the beta phase. So they kind of feel like, well, what's the point in us beta testing it when we tell you these things and you just ignore us and just push it out anyway? So these are the things that I think are important and integral to the future of these kind of products. I don't know how I got onto this topic, but I hope that answered the question that brought me onto it anyway. Okay. Let's have a look. What else do we have? Why are you looking up on camera? Because I've got a screen above it, so I do apologize if I'm looking above. I've got the camera at a weird angle at the moment. I picked it up on Wishlist Member on AppSumo after working with a client. What did you think of it, Phaedra? Did you find it's a good product? I know it's one of the ones that's probably the longest or most established kind of one that's been out there for a long time, so it has a long track record. What are your thoughts on it? I think I've got like a 5 license copy. It's just having the time to sit down and go through installing it, testing it, find out what it's like and those kinds of things. So I'd love to know what your thoughts, if you've used it on a client site, in a project. What do you think of it? Was it good or not? Elementor is bigger than Wix with 8 million. Very true, but you do have to remember that a massive proportion of that is the free version of Elementor, which means that there's always going to be a difference there when you've got people that are paying for a product versus having a product that they can use for free. You know, if it's a well-rounded product that lots of people have access to for nothing, you're obviously going to get a lot of people coming on board and using that. Team Crazy, will Wix kill basic web designers? I don't think so. It hasn't so far. Again, it's one of those things that we all always worry about, these new platforms, these new services and things coming out. I mean, the current one now is, you know, is artificial intelligence going to kill the copywriter? No. What it's going to do is it's going to give people that couldn't afford to hire designers and copywriters and things like that, it's going to give them tools to be able to get something that is better than they could have produced themselves. And I think this is something we have to take into consideration. It's not always about replacing something. You know, not everybody that wants a website will pay a designer. Not everybody that wants copywriting will pay a copywriter. But they might have a need for it. So there will always be options out there, and that's where the market like Wix and things like that cater to. That's where, you know, sort of things like conversion AI and those kinds of things, that's what that caters to. People that want a quicker fix to get something completed, a task, a product, a project, whatever, quicker without having to spend huge amounts of money and potentially lots of time when they don't have those resources available to them. So, no, I don't think so. Again, I agree, Max. It is very easy. It's a very well thought out interface. Takes a little bit of getting used to. There's a couple of quirks in there. But again, I think this is one of those areas that Brizy excels at, is the blocks that they've got and the templates, the full site templates and those kinds of things are very well designed. They are modern and fresh, and they are usable straight out of the box. Again, not to criticize Elementor, they've brought in a lot more templates and blocks and things like that over the last probably like 18 months, 2 years. But some of them feel so incredibly niche that I can't see how you'd use them. So it kind of makes that side of things a little semi-redundant. I just think there's more scope for great looking designs that are clean and usable. And like I say, this is where Bloxy comes in really, really well. There's a lot of the block builders for Gutenberg that have some really solid, good looking blocks. Check out Generate Blocks. There's some great starting points inside there, and totally free. The free version of that is good. Lots and lots of really good options out there. But yeah, you know, there's great tools. Okay. What's this? Interested on me being a guest? We can talk about beers and food. Yeah, sure. Drop me a message. You got my email. Drop me an email and we'll sort it out. Get you on one live stream and we'll have a chat about beers and food and all those kinds of things, and maybe a little bit of web design. But yeah, hit me up. That'd be cool. Always open for that. Should Lockdown Live spend some time talking about the best deals on AppSumo? No, because then I get told that I'm just trying to promote AppSumo deals. Look, if I'm honest, I look out for the different deals that I think. I mean, I bought loads of stuff on AppSumo over the last 18 months. I probably a real detriment to my bank account in a lot of cases. But I have picked up some really solid tools on there that I use very, very regularly, and they were worth taking a punt on. But if you've never used AppSumo, it is basically a marketplace kind of thing for usually hand-picked software applications like SaaS services. There's often Elementor tools on there. Brizy was on there. Brizy Cloud has been on there. And you can buy lifetime deals. You know, some will be unlimited deals, some will be limited for various different things. Check it out, appsumo.com. But I've bought lots and lots of deals on it. So yes, I do talk about various different deals. But I think it's one of those things that if I think there's something that I know my WP crew would be interested in, then I'm always going to sort of let you know about that. Or there's times where I'm looking at something that I actually quite like the idea of, but instead of me investing my time, effort, and money into it, I'll ask to see if anybody else has actually used it and get your thoughts on it. So, for example, the one that I posted up the other day, which was, can't remember, but there's a very mixed feedback on this. So at this point in time, I'm still holding off buying that. So I don't know, WP Data Tables, I think it was. There was a sort of like, there's some positives, there's some negatives. So I'm kind of like torn. I'm keeping an eye on the comments and the feedback and the reviews and things like that over on AppSumo to see if it's worth taking a look at and investing in. You've got a cool t-shirt. I think I'm set. Awesome. This is Jack and Jones. Okay, now let me just quickly say, for anybody that's in tonight that's new, or anybody that don't know, Stratos Tutorials creates tutorials on Oxygen, created tutorials on bricks, and lots of other things. So do me a solid, and when you finish this live stream, or if you've got another window open kind of thing, hop over, do a search on YouTube for Stratos Tutorials, give it a subscribe, and keep an eye on there, because Stratos is doing some really solid tutorials on this, some full site builds and things like that. So if you want to get even more knowledge and skills on different topics to do with WordPress and building websites and things, check out Stratos' channel. So that's Stratos Tutorials over on YouTube. And subscribe, thumbs up, you know the routine. Okay. Hi Paul, love your channel, thank you very much. Learned a lot already and hoping to learn more. I use Elementor Pro and have Croco Block lifetime license. Is it worth investing in Ultimate Add-ons lifetime license? Is this Ultimate Add-ons for Elementor? I'm assuming this is the Brainstorm Force one, the one I did a video on recently with one of the different sort of things that they just brought out. I can't tell you what to buy, if I'm brutally honest about it. I do like Ultimate Add-ons for Elementor, if that's what we're talking about, or if it's Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg. I haven't really used it more than maybe once or twice. It's a solid tool. The features that are in there are generally well thought out. I like what they're doing, but I can't tell you whether to buy it or not. But I would say it's something that I do use on various different projects, and it's one I kind of do fall back on. Would it kind of overlap with Croco Block? To a certain extent, yes. But it really comes down to what you want. So I can't tell you whether to buy it or not, but I will say it is a good product. It is something that I use quite frequently on different products, both myself and on commercial client products. So have a think. Okay. Richard, you got wishlist member too. You didn't get on too well with it, but perhaps a tutorial from you would help things along. Oh, that old chestnut, eh? Yeah, heard that before. What didn't you get along with? What did you find there was too much to it? One thing I kind of find, sorry to jump around a little bit, with any of these kinds of like membership tools, with LMS tools and stuff like that, there's an awful lot of toing and froing to set things up. But once you kind of got it set up, then it is a case of, well, you've done the hard work. And I would assume, I haven't looked into this, but with most of these, there's going to be the option that you could set up a starting template, as it were, or starting structure, and then literally export those settings and then import those into a new site and start off with, a big chunk of the work done. But let me know, Rich, what you didn't like about Wishlist Member, because it'd be interesting to know. I like it. Wix is a microwave dinner, quick and easy, but definitely not the best. Yeah, they definitely need to add salt. Okay, Team Crazy. Simple answer to this. What do you think of pirated Elementor out there? I think pirated any kind of software is something that you should stay well away from. Two reasons. One, and the most important one, is if you want to use a product for a project, whether that's a personal project, a business project, or a client project, pay for it. Simple as that. You are benefiting from it. You wouldn't go to a petrol or gas station, fill your car up, and then drive off. It's just not what you would do. So I think the same comes down to when you're working with software. You want to use it, pay for it. Simple as that. And the second thing is, if you don't pay for it and everybody pirates software, there'll be no developers left to create new software and update the ones that you're using. So you're shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. So if anybody is using pirated or whatever you want to kind of call it, and I know there's different websites out there, I'm not going to name any, that are basically just using the GPL licensing system to screw the developers, let's just put it that way. Illegal? No. Immoral? Yes. So stay away from them. I mean, the only time that I would ever say something like that would ever be... No, actually, I wouldn't even say that. Forget it. The other thing you've got to consider, a 2B point, as it were, is you don't know what extra code has been added to that pirated version. Lots of these are going to have malware inserted in there. It's going to have phone home kind of things in there. It's going to have lots of different things. So if you want to compromise your server, especially if you're on shared hosting and you have multiple clients on there, jeopardize all of their websites, including potentially your own and your reputation, that's something that you really have to think long and hard about before you start to use it. So my answer is no, there's never a reason to use it ever. Simple as. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple more questions and then I'm going to call it a night because I'm already conscious of the fact we're already over the hour long. So the other thing that I'm going to ask then is, seeing as there's been sort of talk tonight about lockdown live and the name of this and potentially, you know, when lockdown is over, are we going to carry on? Let's have a couple of suggestions for a future name. You don't have to do it here and now. You can easily just hop over to that link, become part of the Facebook group, the WP Crew, and just post in there what you think. I'll start a thread if I can remember to do it, or if anybody goes on there after I've done this live stream and just wants to create a thread with what you think the name of Lockdown Live should be, serious answers, please, then by all means do that and we'll see if we can come up with a different name. I'm quite famous in India, at least in your circle. Well, that's very nice. That's quite cool. Thank you very much. It's nice to know. Okay. That's what I mean. It's become a jungle on AppSumo now, and it could help beginners. Yeah, I'm assuming this is kind of going on to Richard's kind of comment and so on. There has been, I think, one of the biggest problems when it comes to go back to AppSumo, I think one of the biggest problems that AppSumo kind of had is the marketplace. Now, if you don't know what the marketplace is, you've got two parts to AppSumo. You've got AppSumo with the hand-picked deals, which is what AppSumo kind of always was. This is where you get your lifetime and you have different tiers and things like that. Then you have the AppSumo marketplace, which is where users of the marketplace can vote on products that they want to see on there, but also people have products, they can see about getting their products on there. So you could say there's a potential for lesser quality products and things like that. I'm not saying that is the case, but I think that's kind of opened a bigger floodgates to the amount of products that are on there, which opens up the potential for lower quality, lower satisfaction, which then can water down what people think of AppSumo and the deals you get on this. So it's quite, you've got to be careful. And what I would always suggest is if you are new to using AppSumo and you think, you know, is this deal good? Is this deal good? Those kinds of things. Don't buy it straight away and take these two things into consideration. First of all, you've got a 60-day money back guarantee. Don't like it, you can get your money back on it. So you've got no risk of losing your money. The second thing is look at the feedback that you get. Look at the reviews and always check out on the reviews the number of items that a person that's adding a review has actually bought. If it's one, it's a pretty good bet that they've been incentivized to join up and purchase this AppSumo deal. And then when they bought it, they're incentivized to leave a very positive review. Ignore those, take those with a pinch of salt. Look for the ones that have been on there that have got 10, 15, 100, 200 deals. Those are the people that are buying deals. Those are the ones that are testing things out. And they're the ones that are going to generally give you a more genuine response to what they found. And also look at the comments, the questions and things in there, and gauge for yourself if it's something that you think is a product that you would want to invest your money in. And also bear one other thing in mind is when you invest in anything, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, you are coming in early in the development of that product, SaaS, service, whatever it is. There's always the potential for it to go pear-shaped, for it to be closed down. This happens, and you lose your money on it, you lose your service. If you can't afford to lose the money, don't buy the product. It's the easiest way to kind of look at it. But yeah, AppSumo can be a really solid place. You just have to take your time and learn how to get the most out of it and how to pick and choose the best products that come up on there. Okay, let's have two. Thank you very much, Robert, for subbing to Stardust. Awesome. Yeah, Stardust, do you still recommend the Zion Builder? Because I tried it out and they've contacted me a couple of days ago with regards to taking another look at it. And my first impressions weren't that great. It felt just a little bit hard work. But if you've used it, tell me what you think is good about it. Maybe we'll have this conversation, via email or something if we don't have the time to do it tonight. But it's always good to know. I mean, lots and lots of page builders out there. If you recommend one, I'd love to know what it is you like about it, why you recommend it, and why you think it's got potential. Yeah, speaking of the Zion thing, they also halved the price on that through pushback from the AppSumo community, which is another thing that's always useful, is the community can help shape, and being part of the community can help shape where those products go. Always good to be involved in it. Okay, so we're going to take a look. So we've got one more question, if I can find a question that I think is going to be good, and then we'll take a look at wrapping things up. Headlock live. Okay. Cool. Wow. So many comments. No. I'm sorry, Phaedra. No. It's Paul, y'all. No. Nice try, though. Okay. Let's do this as the last one. What do you think of Verdi asking in the Elementor Facebook group, what's on the top of your wish list? Bring it on. Oh, was this aimed at me giving my feedback on it? What do I think of it? I understand why he's doing it. I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with this. And first, let me just say this, kick this off from the get-go. I really do like Verdi as a person. He's a genuinely nice guy that's got a really solid heart. So even though we've had our disagreements on different things in the past, he's always been very civil, and he's always been open to comments and questions. So thank you very much for that, Verdi. I know you're not watching, but I just want to say it anyway. But what do I think of it? I think I did a comment on this. I replied to a comment that was posted up earlier on. There's two things. There's lots of counting tonight. There's two things that I would love Elementor to do. We know the speed is one of them, and this is something they're working on. They're actively working on it. And from the results that people are sort of saying, it is making a positive improvement on the speed at which the sites are being delivered. So that, give it credit for that. They are focused on that side of things, and that's become a really solid part of their business plan moving forward. So that's a good thing. The other thing is stability and dealing with bugs that have been there for a while. So the comment that I replied to earlier on was a bug that was evident in March 2019. It was the first reporting of it. And this is still evident. That's not good. You can't have bugs and problems that are still there 2 years down the line that have been reported. And that's not just like an isolated incident. If that was just a one-off, then fair enough, you could kind of understand it. But this is kind of goes back to my comment earlier on about having a synergistic link between the community and the developers. Where there's a disjoint there and there's other people in between that are kind of relaying back. And when you've got multiple different places, I mean, you've got the Facebook group, you've got the new Elementor forums, you've got the GitHub. That's 3 different places that you've got to start off with where you can post problems, you can post comments, you can ask for feature requests and things. You want one location, one simple location that just has these things. But I think before we worry about adding new bells and whistles, and this includes things like, the things that I want to see in there, conditional logic, the loop and stuff like that, there needs to be more focus placed on dealing with the bugs that have been there long term and getting those ironed out. That, to me, is more important than the new features, those must-have new features. So that's where I am with it. That's how I think about it. That's how I kind of see what I'm kind of talking about when it comes to that kind of thing. I understand they want to find out what people want in one centralized location, as opposed to having 500 threads of, we want this and we want that and we want this and we want it yesterday and so on, which can probably get really tiring really quickly. But that's part and parcel of the whole thing. But that's where I'm going to leave it anyway. I think I'm going to sort of like draw the line there and say, that's my thoughts on that side of things. And I'm also going to just end the live stream here as well. So thank you very much to everybody that got involved tonight. It's been absolutely great to see so many new faces as well as some familiar faces. So be sure to sign up and be notified in 2 weeks' time, where hopefully I will have a different guest on and we'll be talking about a few different things there as well. So that's something I'm looking forward to. So that's 2 weeks' time, which will be, I believe, the 15th. I think it's the 15th. Yeah, the 15th. Same time, same place, same thing, same format. We'll have some questions and answers at the end of it. But wherever you are in the world, please do stay safe. Look after yourselves. And if you aren't already part of the WP crew, head over and become part of the crew. And also, like I say, follow me on Twitter. So thank you very much for being involved tonight. I'll see you in a couple of weeks' time, and I look forward to talking to you via the various different methods like Facebook and so on. Take care. Look after yourselves. I'll see you all soon.